Hey guys, Yuki here, and welcome back to another video. So today I just want to go through a little bit of the Atlas strategy that I've been doing this league. And essentially, this strategy revolves around me only wanting to play Ultra Bomber, right? So, naturally I want to kind of straight and tight-ish map. So I wanted to do shape channels. So, for those of you who just want to watch a quick video on a kind of strategy that you want to copy, that's totally fine. So, essentially, you do the Zana quest, which is how you kind of get the Shaper Orb now, and you keep following it till I think it was like T5 or something like that. Then you start getting Elder Pops, and then there'll be like there'll be like a purplish ring map, uh, on the Shaper tier or Eldered map that you haven't done yet. So for example, if you haven't shaped this yet, and you know the Elder influence was like over here, then once you do Ashen Wood, you'll get a Shaper Orb to shape channels. Just an example. It really depends on what map you get your Elder influence on. Sometimes you get lucky, and you know you already have that map. Sometimes you have to buy it, and yeah. Essentially, the other is to shape channels, complete the maps tier 1 to 5 with the exception of Armory and Thicket, which is connected to shape channels, so you don't want those. Everything else, complete it. Only run shape channels when you have about 50 completion. Otherwise, you won't drop high enough tier maps most of the time to sustain well. I'll be doing a little bit of update on my build as well in the next video. And yeah, that's essentially it. And for those who just want to have a strategy to copy, here it is, there it is. Complete everything that isn't Armory or Thicket in tier 1 to 5. Only do shape channels as yours tier 6 and complete all the tier 6s that you've done, as well as tier 7s. You can see I have no tier 7s and no T6s apart from shape channels. The other tiers do not matter if you're only doing shape channels. That's basically it. So I wanted to go through a little bit about actually how to make your own Atlas strategy. And I thought it was actually quite simple, so I thought I'll bung it into like one video. So yeah. Anyway, so essentially at the start of the league you have 0 completion obviously, and all these maps will be blank. After you complete the story, you may already have a few white maps drop for you. If you don't worry. If you go to the epilogue and you pop to the Templar's laboratory after you pick up the 2 points from Oriath, 2 passive points, and you go there, you'll find Zana, which is this person here. And what she'll do is at the start she'll give you a free tier 1 map, and I mean, it's pretty easy to figure out, but as you can see, it says bonus. That's referring to this. You need to have this right. You do need to have the bonus objective completed on the map to raise your bonus percent. And like I said earlier, you want it to be about 50 to run lower tier maps. The higher tier it is, the more well, you can see here, but essentially, it makes it so that you drop higher tier maps. And if this is really low, then even if you do the strategy so that no other tier 6 drops, no other tier 7 drops, which means if you get a tier 7, which is very unlikely below Atlas completion, it'll roll back to tier 6, dropping, you know, in my case, shape channels. But it doesn't have to be shape channels, it can really be any map. Essentially, the general rule to running any map is, so for example, if I type in Strand and pretend Strand is the map that I want to run for whatever reason, you will want the unique maps, by the way, you don't need to bother with them, you can still keep them. You can run all the unique maps for completion all you want, it doesn't really affect your average sustain on your maps. So essentially, so if I want to run Strand, which is here, you want to check which ones are the tier 5 that comes from Strand. So here, only Maze is the tier 5 that's connected to Strand. So you would want to, in this case, shape the maze. So how it works is if you're using a very low tier map, for example Channels, which is now tier 1, and you shape it to tier 6, then you can keep the linking ones non-shaped, right? That's totally fine because these are tier 2s and they're going to be very unlikely to drop anyway in terms of just normal drops. By uncompleting them, you reduce the chance to literally nothing, right? But for Strand here, because the map you connected and you're not going to shape Strand because it goes to tier 9 and that's probably quite high tier, I recommend running something like tier 6, anything from around tier 4 to 8, 7-ish is fine, I think, for most builds, but the higher tier you go, while you do drop higher tier maps, your rewards don't actually improve apart from the improved chances of dropping higher tier sextants. The sextants aren't worth very much this league, so probably will make your map atlas strategy depending on that. But essentially, because this map, you're not going to shape it, and this map's high, you want to shape the tier 5 one, which means you have to work all the way up your atlas to shape this. And then, so, Strand is tier 4, that means you don't want anything that's highlighted here, apart from the unique maps, which you can have, and the Strand map that you're running. After you've done that, every map you drop from Strand will either be tier 1, 2, or 3, or it'll be tier 4, in which case it's a Strand, or it'll be a tier 5, in which case it's still a Strand, because if you're running a tier 4 map, you wouldn't want any tier 5s, which is one tier above it. So in summary, to run a non-shaped map, you want to shape the following map that is one tier higher than it. In Strand's example, Maze, just the connected one. You don't need to shape, or you can't shape all the tier 5s, but anyway, you wanna uncomplete all the tiers, all the maps on the tier that you're trying to run, all the tiers on the map that you're trying to run +1, and shape or elder or just get rid of the map that Strand connects to that's one tier up. After you've done all of that, the maps that you should be dropping are only going to be the maps that are lower tier, which is very unlikely when you have a high enough bonus objective, or it's going to be the tier you're running, which is always going to be the map that you want, or a unique map, which is fine because they sell for at least, a few out, and Chaos and doesn't happen very often. And the tier above it, which obviously has nothing in it because you uncompleted all of it and you shaped or eldered the maps that connects to the map that you're running +1. And because of that, what the game does, it rolls down the tier because there's nothing in that tier. It just drops the tier. So all potential tier you want to run +1 then drops down to the tier you want to run, which means most of your map drops, about 80-90% of your map drops, is going to be the maps you want to keep sustaining, you keep running. That's the idea of the shaping atlas strategy. And for a shaped map is very similar, except that because you're shaping a map, the map that you shape is going to be higher tier than the ones that normally are one tier higher above it and connected to it. Like here, I have Armory and Thicket, but they're only tier 2. You still want them not completed, but you don't need to shape or elder them in this case. In fact, it's bad if you shape them, because then it becomes tier 7, which is, going to start dropping on tier 6 channels. But yeah, that's essentially how you set up Atlas for any tier, any map. The only maps that I don't recommend running are bad maps. So for example, if you're running a Totem Man build, Ancestral Warchief, starter friendly by the way, you don't want to be running open maps like Desert, right? Desert, really open map. It's going to take you a long time to clear with your very slow Ancestral Warchief Totem build. Essentially, you want to run the maps that either A, have good drops, B, good mob density and good layout, or C, your maps the maps that you build can actually do well. So, for example, for Cox and Crit, it'll probably be like something straightforward, narrow. You don't have to go backwards, like channels, like alleyways, pen, cage, all that kind of thing. And Underground Sea is a weird one. The layout isn't very good, but the Alk Sustainer is insane because of the div card set that it drops there. But anyway, I've rambled on for way too long. Essentially, that's how you set up Atlas strategy for beginners, not using any special terminology here. Very easy stuff, not very hard to understand. That's essentially the Atlas strategy in 3.5, as far as I understand. These weird symbols here, I believe they're Elder and Shaper Strongholds. It doesn't really matter, it just means you got more loot from them, basically. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys next time. Peace out.